All right, there we go. And now we have Payday coming up here. See if we can get this going. Oh.
Hey, I'm sorry I missed the message. Yeah, I was ready to start broadcasting, but
What were
I
you
had a
doing
little
over there, man?
trying to contend with the heat.
Yeah, I
But
hear you.
yeah, I'm so elated that there there's such fervor about Mr. Paul. I've mentioned him, you know, even before in a song. I mentioned him in '99 because he was one of the congressmen that stood out at the time. There was about three of them. Now I think he's only one. Uh, Kucinich, he's kind of wishy-washy. When he, do you remember when he stepped off Force One after saying he's not going to sign that Obama death care bill?
No.
Yeah, he said, "I'm against it. I'm against it. I'm against it." Then he stepped off Air Force One with a smile and he signs it. Mike Gravel was another guy from Alaska. Uh, Ron Paul's about the only guy left. Cynthia McKinney was another one. These people, these people are blackballed.
Yeah, I could tell you some interesting stories about Senator Gravel. Back in the '08 cycle, when we had Ron Paul Radio, which turned into Revolution Broadcasting, I had a radio show on there, and him and I had some pretty heated debates over his National Initiative for Democracy.
It'd be nice if you can send me a link to that if it still exists in archives. I'd like to hear it.
I'll have to see
'Cause
if
I
I can
was,
dig it out.
yeah, I'm familiar with nothing but his stance on the military-industrial complex, his questions about 9/11, his Federal Reserve stance. He was very outspoken, and people like that, you know, Gravel or Gravel, whatever you want to call them. I think they perpetuate the word gravel because it just sounds like then it's on the dirt on the ground. Gravel, he had the testicular fortitude that got him quickly excised from, you know, Ron Paul. I think Ron Paul's calm demeanor paid off for him and will continue to pay off. He's very, very gracious. He doesn't fly off the handle, and that's exactly what they want. Anything they can. I mean, the only way they can make Ron Paul look like a kook is if they have a hidden camera in the shower and he's going to wash his arm. It's like Ron Paul's making the Hitler sign. I mean, what do they have on this guy?
Yeah, there's really nothing, and they try to invent some stuff to try to put something on him to make him look like a kook.
I think
Sometimes
T-Mot, the guy T-Mot, I think he tempered his the Ron Paul's a racist uh, perception. I think he did a good. People like that, tons of black people speaking out. Like just because somebody writes something, may be perceived as disparaging in a newsletter that Ron Paul puts out, he can't monitor. They try to get him on receiving some money from Tom Metzger, or the racist. These are the things that they hit him with. Well, you received a $500 donation from the KKK guy. Does he have time to sit there and scour and censor all of his donations?
Well, and would it not be too crazy to think that that was planted, that they had him donate just so they could come out and say it? I mean, come on. But you're right. I mean, Ron
They've been
Paul
known to
takes
do
all
this.
individual donations, and they don't want to talk about that. And then when he gets an individual donation from somebody like that, now it's some kind of big deal. And you're
Not to
exactly right. I
forget
mean,
about the
what's he going to do?
military
Sit there and
donations.
just press the reject button on every donation? Monitor it like that?
And Brian, I mean, I've never heard him once. I actually scoured YouTube for a moment where they talk about Ron Paul's military donations, and I think I seen one instance of it. It lasted about 3 seconds, and then they moved on to show you how to dress for Easter, or they commingled it with some trivial story, as they do. I just saw the other day the best diapers you can buy your kids, uh, how to cook the perfect pork, and Al Qaeda's going to strike. Was a bomb threat has been thwarted. That was their third story after diapers. How to, it's just ridiculous. It's
Right.
cartoonish. It's cartoonish.
Now I met you up at Freedom Palooza a couple weeks ago. That was a good time up there. I came up on the Sunday. I know you played I think Saturday before I got up there, so I didn't get to see you play. But I
I
heard it was
loved it.
great.
It was fun, you know.
Yeah, well, I guess they're putting the videos out now. They posted a video of me speaking out on there, so your video has got to be out pretty soon up there at Freedom Palooza. But you know, you tell everybody when you meet this guy in person, you don't expect the voice you hear in his songs. That is just one thing for sure. And Gigi was saying the same thing. I don't know if you remember that as we were standing there. But your
No,
buddy, the Cannon, what was it? Larry Cannon.
Larry Cannon.
He just put out a not so good article on me that was pretty much inaccurate. So now I got to call him tomorrow and talk to him about that. But obviously we're working on getting you down there to Tampa to play at Paul Festival, and I think a lot of people are looking forward to that happening. Are you ready to get down there and jam it for Ron Hall?
You know, once the word comes through, definitively, I'm there. You know, I'm not. I'm actually preparing for it tentatively, of course, but
Yeah.
once it happens, I'm in full gear, full swing.
It's going to be a blast, man. I mean, there's absolutely no reason why anybody shouldn't be down in Tampa for all of this.
Now, what's the projected attendance?
We have the capacity to hold over 50,000 people at this event. It's hard to project the attendance at this point because we're still signing on a lot of bands and a lot of speakers, and ticket sales are rolling in. But I'd say if I went on the conservative side, 25,000 right now is what's projected.
That's a number, right?
Yeah,
Well,
be
you
huge.
just have to think. I mean, Ron Paul got 5,000 people in the rain here in Philadelphia on Independence Mall. Uh, Really short notice. 5,000 people in the rain, pouring rain. So if it wasn't raining, there could have been easily 15,000 there. So this happens to be in Tampa, where Ron Paul is. So I wouldn't be surprised. I was thinking about like 25,000
Yeah, and
myself.
that seems pretty feasible without a problem. Can see that happening. Yeah, a lot of people like your name, especially what's come out recently as far as the name of the Payday Monsanto there. But you've had that for a long time before all this stuff came out, huh?
Uh, I guess it's more people are becoming aware of it, but they were still doing the same nefarious things, and they have a long history. 72 years, I think it is now, working with the Department of Defense on sensitive uh, projects or whatever. Same as CDI, incidentally, Controlled Demolition Incorporated. They brag on their website they've worked with the Pentagon for over 50 plus years on sensitive issues.
Yeah.
They're responsible for the cleanup of the World Trade Center disaster.
When everybody talks about the Monsanto now, and are you like, I've been saying it, man. I've been saying it for years. Where you guys been?
I guess it has the, the awareness of it has increased over the last couple of years. But I mean, even back then when they introduced, I read a book called Seeds of Deception. I forget the guy's name now. It's right on the tip of my tongue. But and I read about cases where Santa was just suing people left and right because their product blew windborne on somebody's farm. They were suing them, stealing. The battle against small farmers. So ever since then, I mean, and then coupled with the Henry Kissinger quote, which it always struck me for some reason. He says, control a country's oil, a nation's oil, you control the country. Control the food, you control the people. And that's exactly what they're doing. I mean, I don't know if, I'm sure you probably are, if you're following Monsanto, but a lot of people do not realize that over the last 5 years, hundreds of thousands, it might be tens of thousands, but I think it's Indian farmers are committing suicide in protest because they refuse to deal with this GMO, genetically modified organism that's being imposed on them. Agent Orange. I mean, these guys been around the block.
Yeah, I'm
They start
familiar with
it
Agent Orange.
just like the National Cancer Institute. It started as a a chemical company, a weapons manufacturer, weaponizing cancers before they turned into CDC, Center for Disease Control. They added that prevention to it in the last 6 years or something. But I mean, they want to control the disease. They don't want to eradicate it. Why wouldn't it be called the Center for Disease Eradication from the gate, from the inception? Why control? Because it's all about treatment. Red line, just like crime. Crime is redlined. You know what I mean? Once it starts to get into the suburbs, like when crack got into the suburbs
Hmm.
in then it became a problem. Then it was a
Right.
problem. It's like when Bernie Madoff, there was various New York Times article around the most revealing one, but it's scary. It gives me the goosebumps. They were actually talking about Bernie Madoff in a bad light because he stole from fellow Jews. Forget that, he stole from a couple Jews. Forget the billions that he stole from Goyim. The issue was, is Bernie Madoff a bad guy because he ripped off fellow Jewish people? I mean,
Right.
it's in the same context, that.
It's all scary stuff. Kurt, you there with us? I know you said you thought you were having some mic issues. You want to do a mic check?
Are you talking to me, Brian?
Yes, I sure am. Your
How you
mic
doing,
is
Kurt?
your mic is hot and it's good. So if you want to jump in here and ask some questions, you got it.
Cool. I mean, I was just curious. I mean, I know your name indicates you know a lot about Monsanto. What triggered that? What point in your life did somebody, tell you about that, or you found out about that, and you just went, whoa, and you dove into finding out about it?
Uh, I think it was Ingdahl, Professor Ingdahl from Canada, who writes for Global Studies. He's a professor out of Canada. I was just perusing a website. I even forget the name of that years ago, 2000, pre 9/11, right before 9/11 hit. And what the hell's the guy's name? Ingdahl, big 9/11 truther. Yeah, I came across one of his articles, and he talked about how there was this case where Monsanto was suing a farmer whose crops became infested with a neighboring farm because the wind blew it over. And that, Monsanto contended, as they contend today, that because their, I think it was cotton, could be wrong, contaminated this guy's farm. But they're saying that they now.
Corn up in there.
Okay, yeah. Well, there's been a lot of cases of that. I don't know what this particular case from the Ingdahl article from 2000, early mid 2000, late 2000 probably. The farm, they took the farm from the guy because, in essence,
Yeah.
Monsanto contaminated their farm when they're arguing that they have the patent for the corn or the cottonseed or the soy that blew over to the guy's farm. And when I read that, I was
They have
kind
the
of
money
taken
for the
aback.
lawyers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
And that was kind of the tipping point where you were like, WTF?
yeah, because the food is probably the most pressing issue of all. Like that Kissinger quote really brings a sterling uh, thought of impending danger when they're controlling your food, and food that's known to cause cancer in animal test subjects, rats, mice, uh, just like the aspartame when they did the monkey study, when G.D. Searle did the monkey study with the aspartame, and then they got Rumsfeld, who's like a bulldog, You know, these people, these Cheneys, these Rumsfelds, they just tend to stay in government. They linger. They're there for a reason because, you know, they're bulldogs. They get things done. And the FDA said aspartame, uh, from from our estimation, is potentially, it's not grass. It's not generally recognized as safe. We can't generally recognize this stuff as safe. And then when Rumsfeld got into the GD Serol, he just pushed it right through and then began the revolving door even more. There was always a revolving door between big pharmaceutical companies and the like, and FDA people in key positions within the Food and Drug Administration. There's always been that revolving door. In the last 7 years, it's grown. It's become worse exponentially.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, when you do your shows, how often do you get people coming up to you after your shows, letting you know that you educated, that you shifted their viewpoint?
It depends on how many people are there, and a lot of shows that I've done, I was preaching to the choir, so I would just get the general congratulatory, yeah, good show. There were a few times I did stuff in front of strangers. Freedom Palooza being one, it wasn't the greatest turnout, but yeah, people whom I've met previous to my set, and even people who I never saw before who were just coming in said, yeah, that was a great show. And the videographer, one of the videographers who was on stage, said he went home and looked at the footage and was like, wow, you had me Googling till 4 a.m. as I was listening to your set. You know, I'm happy. What keeps me going, among other things, of course, the passion alone, but what keeps me pushing harder and harder is things like the accolades I get, whether it be, in YouTube comments, just people really have thoughtful things to say, well thought out things that touch me. And, things such as emails from 50, 60, 70-year-old men and women saying, like, I hate this rap stuff, but, your message comes through so clear. Or people in general saying, I stopped listening to rap when, these record labels push the gangster rap on us. And what a breath of fresh air you are. These things keep me going. And, if I ever choose a hero, the hero, all my heroes are dead. Ron Paul is the closest thing to a hero living that exists. And, you have to go on the man's consistency and look. You really have to be an abject, or I don't want to get vitriolic, but you really have to have your head in the sand here. Just spend a paltry hour researching Ron Paul and who he is, and not come away with the fact that he is a very unique man, a very brave man. He's a lone voice of reason in a crowd of Goldman Sachs. That you got Goldman Sachs or Goldman Sachs. So, and it's been like that for the last 10 years, easy. AIDS or cancer? What do you want? It's like I saw a sign that it said left was Trenton, right was Camden, New Jersey. It's like, okay, what do you want to do? You want to go Trenton or Camden? You want AIDS or cancer? Syphilis or lupus? That's why I'm working on this called Obamni is going to be my next.
Cool. One last little question here I had for you was, who have you found to be, or what group have you found to be the most unique or unexpected allies in the music industry? After they've heard your music, I mean, who did you maybe not expect to suddenly go, wow, that was awesome, and they responded in a real positive way?
Another musical group? Did you say, Kurt?
In the music business, maybe fellow rap, you and somebody came up to you that maybe you didn't expect to say, hey, you got something good here?
Uh, that hasn't happened lately. It happened a while ago. A guy who I consider a friend now, a lawyer, Simon Rosen. Uh, he said your stuff is great. I just need more fluff to push it. And then he actually called me when I dropped off a CD at his office, even more political than before because I wasn't ready to compromise myself at the time. He said, give me some fluff and I'll put your CD to numerous labels. So I came back and said, the CD said anti-fluff. I said, I'm not ready for the fluff, Simon. And then he called me about 3 weeks, a month later and was like, I know I called you a radical before, but you make some really interesting points and your message comes through clear. Can we get some fluff from you? Because, he was on the same page with me insofar as making some fluff, bubblegum, as a Trojan horse, and then establishing yourself and then saying, okay, screw you, But see, every company, too, in particular, every label, they want to marry you, and they want to retain your rights. They want to. Their contracts are structured in such that you have to marry these people. They'll give you a 3-year deal with a 2-year optional, but not the promotion that's going to make them their money back. So they'll string you along and make you just enough money, but you don't pay them totally, so you have to sign with them again, and you can never free yourself. And that's just how the corporate pyramidal structure is set up, in a sense. Like Bertrand Russell, once said, like, why wouldn't people spill the beans? Huxley said it. Many people said it. Rothkopf said it in the most recent book, Superclass. But Lord Bertrand Russell said it the best. He said, once these people become ensconced in the system, it's going to be too profitable for them to, it would be suicide for them to spill any beans once they see how corrupt it is. Because they're going to be benefiting from it so much, it would basically ruin them financially. So, that's one of the main means by which secrets are kept. And, that's my personal opinion based on some fact. But I mean, blackmail is a very big part of how these people play. Like Elliot Spitzer, for instance. He's just one small example. This guy said he was going to come out to spill the beans on a plethora of stuff, and next thing you know, he's busted for a $5,000 a day prostitution scandal.
Hey,
I don't think that, I don't
I'm
think
sorry.
that's a coincidence. Too many. FDR said that if something happens in politics, it's not by accident, and I tend to subscribe to that credo.
Yeah, there's definitely yeah, I agree with FDR there. This is towards the end of my run. I've been on since 10 a.m. this morning, with the exception of a few breaks. So I will leave you two to go at it and continue talking. Payday, it was nice talking to you again, brother, and we look forward to seeing you down in Tampa. I want to encourage everybody out there.
Brother.
I want to encourage everybody out there to get over to paulfestival.com, get your tickets. Let's get down there and make this the largest showing for freedom the world has ever seen. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today and supporting us, for listening to all our guests and being part of this. It's been great and awesome fun. And Kurt, great job. Look forward to talking to you some more after this as well. So thank you.
I would never know you did 12 hours, Brian, man. You're a trooper, dude.
Hey, thanks, man. I'm a little beat. You guys are welcome to stay on. You don't have to sign off if you don't want to. Me leaving does not sign off the broadcast, so that's up to you guys. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm fine. I mean, if John wants to talk a little bit more, that's fine. I just thought we were like done at 10, but that's cool. Whatever. We don't have any more guests planned after this, obviously, right?
There's no more guests, so you guys can stay on and chat some more. Obviously, before you go, if he's got any websites or anything he'd like to promote, feel free to give him that opportunity to get them out there so people can go check out his music online anywhere.
It's merely paydaymonsanto.com. Or if you want to hear free stuff, you can just Google YouTube Payday Monsanto. And I got the Ron Paul is a Statesman song available for free download at SoundClick. You can just go to, you can download Paul Statesman SoundClick. It'll take you right to the page.
All right, excellent.
You can Google, did I say download? You can Google Ron Paul Statesman SoundClick.
Sounds good. Yeah, and like I said, you gentlemen are welcome to stay on and talk more about this. I've enjoyed the conversation, and thank you for coming on Payday and being part of this with us.
It's my pleasure, Brian.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
You do the same.
Brian. Yes, been a day with you.
Yep.
What's going on, Mr. Russell?
Go. Okay, so was there any other things you wanted to comment on or add to? So do you got to be anywhere? I mean, I don't have to be anywhere. So if you wanted to talk a little bit more, it was cool with me. But
Yeah, absolutely not, man. This is you. You guys let me get in a lot. You've been very liberal. So wherever you want to take this, if you have any questions or comments, just I've taken enough time. I got everything that I wanted to get out.
I mean, just gonna touch back. Did you say you found out about Ron Paul when in the 90s?
Late 90s, yes.
And where was that?
I was actually watching clips on VHS of him on different. Phil Donnie, that guy was. But
It was amazing.
he was debating somebody where.
Ron Paul.
I'm sorry, Kurt?
I said it was amazing that you got a VHS of Morton Downey Jr. of all people interviewing Ron Paul.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. A neighbor of mine actually turned me on to him. He was from Texas. Well, he was born in Philadelphia. He moved to Texas, came back to the city, and he was the very first person that introduced me to the New World Order. I mean, my grandfather, when I was young, he would tell me, see this pyramid, all-seeing eye. He said you can have the dollar if you find the owl. The owl's Moloch. But a neighbor who wasn't actually a veteran moved to Texas, and when he got back, I actually saw him. He said, "Yeah, I've been back about a month now." Excuse me, and he started telling me all these things that, 13. Well, not. I was probably about 15. But then, 16, 17, 18, 19. I see this guy every day. Real cool guy, Bob Larson. He was a Colonel Bob Larson. And he would tell me things that I didn't know how to process, Kurt. And he actually had a VHS of different things, Ron Paul included. He had Larry McDonald from Larry McDonald, JBS, John Birch Society, on Crossfire with Tom Braden and I think Pat Buchanan. And, Larry McDonald basically wiped the floor with these two clowns. And a couple months later, if I'm not mistaken, that's when he went down in the plane crash. He was Paul Wellstone. I didn't know what all this stuff really meant. I just knew something was fishy,
And
I think
so
it's instinctual.
seeing this stuff later, like Was that the point where you kind of felt like you were putting the puzzle pieces together for yourself? Or that kind of happened later?
When
When you saw like the interview, or was it later when you started getting data about Monsanto? When did the puzzle pieces really start coming together for you?
Oh, much later. Um, the late, as I said many a times, in 97, 98, it took me that long to read the book. Forgive me, I had to go back to it, Creature from Jekyll Island. 96, I learned about COINTELPRO, and things still weren't making complete sense to me. You just know something's wrong inherently, right? But probably Bill,
Right.
99, 2000, Alex Jones. I'm not going to say Alex Jones woke me up. I don't particularly agree with Alex Jones's method. I don't agree with his order of operations. I think he's lacking organization, and I think organization is key. You only need, if you could just organize 3-5%, you can have yourself a critical mass. And I think it's almost as if he's shunning genuine organization. But that's why I say I don't pick my heroes until after they're dead, so I can examine them more. And then again, Ron Paul is the closest thing. Cynthia McKinney, people like Cynthia McKinney, Ray McGovern, Ron Paul, Mike Gravel, these people are close to heroes to me, but I will not fawn over them, and I will not call them heroes. But his idea, Ron Paul, for instance, his idea that he has planted a seed that is going to grow into a very,
Right.
it's going to thrive. It's not just a single, tree. It's going to thrive into a forest of freedom. He's planted seeds, in the minds of millions. He's changed the generation, the next generation, to a great extent, a considerable extent. He's changed the next generation, because my daughter is going to know about people like Ron Paul. I don't think there's going to be too many Ron Pauls existing in the future, but I will, when I teach her high story, history, it's written by people on high, teach her the mid story and the low story and the no story, the things that they didn't talk about. And Ron Paul's going to be included in that. People like Ron Paul, from Ron Paul to Bobby Fischer to Fred Hampton, to what's his name, Michael Salvio or whatever, the guy who gave the speech out front of Berkeley, talking about the machine. It comes to a point where the machine just gets so grotesque, you have to put yourself in the machine and say, yeah, well, you have to throw yourself into the machine. And I think he was alluding to a tank. Do you recall that name? It's not Mike. I'm thinking of my friend Michael Salvi from the Truth, Freedom, and Prosperity in Philadelphia. Mario Salvio? I don't know. Google Mario Salvio Berkeley speech, and you'll see a dude who really doesn't exist much anymore. He says that it becomes so odious that you have to take a stand and say, I'm going to, it's like a Tiananmen Square type thing. I think he was probably partially inspired by like a Tiananmen Square thing where the kid put himself in front of the tank. You have to say to yourself, I'm not going to let this happen. And at this point, I don't have the testicular fortitude to do that. I'm not ready to die I think there's much more that can be accomplished. I'm not a martyr. I will not commit suicide. I will not go on hunger strikes. Not that I begrudge.
Well, everybody's got their job. I agree. That's not my job. If other guys do that, that's fine if they feel like that's what's the greatest good they need to do. But, yeah.
There's
I
much
was
more
just
respect.
curious also, have you ever, yeah, have you ever heard the rapper, guy named, his real name is Norman Barry, his stage name is Chili B?
Actually, oh, quite a while ago, I have heard that name, Chili B.
Yeah, he's a big dude. He's like about 6'6", 260, and he's an athlete and a rapper. But he sings a lot about the pharmaceutical industry, psychiatrists, drugging children, that sort of thing. Gets down
I have to
really
check
on
him out.
that, and has.
If you remember,
His,
send me a link to paydaymonsanto@gmail.com.
send it to where?
Paydaymonsanto@gmail.com, if you remember. If not, I'll remind you if I remember.
Just write it down. Is it just one word, Payday Monsanto?
Yes, at gmail.com.
Cool.
Let me try this new Kush I got, Granddaddy Kush.
Well, it's good to see that the upcoming generations is actually, it gives me a lot of hope looking, especially when you look at just the statistics of majority of the Ron Paul supporters in the age group of like 18 to 25, as far as the voters, he's nailed anywhere from 40 to 50% of that group. And if that trend continues to hold over time, hopefully the impact those people will have on their children, maybe 25 years from now, it'll be the Romneys of the world fighting for the crumbs, and the Ron Pauls of the world, finally getting it done and overturning stuff. And
isn't it sad how like the scum tend to rise to the top, man? Why is that?
It's basically because evil is the hardest thing to confront, and most people, they like their life the way it is, and you try and point out things that are illogical, that are lies, that are immoral, unethical, even illegal, and they don't want to look at it because they've got their comfortable life. So, it kind of becomes, that's my opinion, it becomes your personal responsibility that if you gain that piece of knowledge, you now have to do something with it.
So you got that, silence is golden, they say, right? But sometimes maybe silence is yellow. So you have them people who don't, when good men do nothing, evil flourishes. And then, on the other side of the token, I think psychopaths tend to gravitate toward these, they tend to gravitate toward these post positions of special trust, or, power positions. Yeah. And it's a shame I think it's a small amount. I'm becoming more and more convinced that it's an ever increasing smaller amount of people who do it genuinely. You have these megalomaniacs who want these power positions, and that's why whether it be in politics, whether it be in military, and it's not even the kids' faults who join the military, because the Army is creating these video games by which they make it fun to shoot people from afar, and then you go on the real battlefield, and it's even, the video games are more real than the actual. Did you hear, Kurt, that they want to give these drone operators medals of bravery for operating drones, killing, a couple people at a wedding, Palestinian wedding, 3,000 miles away? Medals of bravery for drone operators.
Yeah, there's no gonads in that, right?
Yeah, and it's no different from the guy in the helicopter, 13,000 feet up, 500 feet up, whatever. They got guns that can shoot now from 13 missiles, and cluster bombs, whatever. But just a guy from, 1,000, 2,000 feet up, aiming at people like it's a video game. Thanks to things like Call of Duty and the things that preceded it, all put out by Army intelligence. Well, the bulk of them. Like down in Philadelphia at Franklin Mills, they had this Army experience, and you go in there and you see all these video games. A lot of them, some of them are first-hand shoot 'em ups. Some you're in helicopters, and it's all Army training for kids. It's sickening.
Well, basically, what I've found over the years is that truly insane people are not in the mental institutions. The truly insane are the ones putting the guys who end up in the insane asylums are put there by the truly crazy. And a lot of the truly crazy people are wearing suits. And they look nice on the outside, but on the inside, they have this continuous computation to destroy everybody around them. And since they feel that they are constantly threatened, their own survival is threatened,
They're
they
chameleons.
have to figure out how to destroy the people around them. And they attract other like-minded people who confirm their twisted view of society, because the most, I really only think it's about 2% of the population is truly crazy and evil, but they seem to have gotten themselves into position to control and manipulate most of the resources, where if you let the rest of the planet kind of go off on their own, most people will do right by other people. They'll operate off a handshake, Lawyers are screwed that, or,
You got psychopaths in key positions.
Right. So I think, though, in general, life, I don't agree that, people are basically, I believe that they're basically good. And if you give them a chance, majority of the people, at least 80% of the people, will do right by other people. If someone drops their wallet, they'll pick it up and get it.
It's human psychology that most people are upstanding, and they can't see other people, especially their leaders, their government, who's become their mommy, behaving in an aberrant fashion. They can't see it because they're generally good.
Yeah, it's like I said, right. And most good people don't suspect evil, and so when it hits them, they have a staring at your face and believing like that evil exists. So it's those of us who are on the fringe of it, able to confront evil and do something about it, that it actually becomes our responsibility. And, we can complain about the people who are asleep, who are stuck in the matrix, who are asleep, but ultimately, everyone's responsible for their own condition, but if you really believe in the greater good and being of service and being helpful to people and mankind, you realize, if it doesn't happen, if you see the evil and the illogic and the insanity, and then you don't do anything about it, you're just contributing to it by the act of omission.
Exactly.
Doing it.
You are guilty. You are complicit.
Going out political, going against the grain. It's really what not just our country, our entire planet. It's really what's needed and wanted is continuous education against what I basically call the brainwashing that's been happening for the last 100 years.
Silence is complicity, man. You said it. Silence is yellow, not golden. In certain milieus, the silence is yellow. Cowardice.
Meaning yellow is the color of cowardice. Is that what you mean?
I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, they say silence is golden. I disagree with that in many aspects, depending upon the application. Silence concerning not speaking out about atrocities is yellow, i.e. cowardly. Yeah.
Right. Cowardice. Exactly. I definitely got that. Well, man, what else you want to? Got anything else you want to bring or talk about?
Nothing to sell.
Didn't feel
Nothing
like
to really. Yes, man. It's been a wonderful. is there a way? Is the telethon in full from the beginning going to be archived? It, I'm sure I can see that, right?
Sorry?
I see there's a little delay, huh? Is this cast going to be archived so I can catch it later in its entirety?
Honestly, I'm sorry, dude. We don't answer. This is the first time I've ever used Tiny Chat, so I don't know. It's
I think it is.
room, so I don't know. I mean, I've actually recorded quite a few of the interviews that I've done during the day, and I'm going to be transcribing them and posting them on the Paul Fest blog and then on my own blog as best I can. But I mean, I don't know if it's going to be archived here. I don't know
All
if
right.
it's
Well,
possible to go back
it is.
check out.
I think last time Tracy archived it. I mean, this looks like a really sophisticated module here. I think it's archived.
Cool.
It's really hot. I have to turn my air all the way up now. But yeah, it's been fun, Kurt.
Philly?
Yes. And I'm down there either way, you know. I can't wait to just congregate with all the freedom lovers.
Great. Well, I hope you make it down here and perform. And, definitely I'm going to be trying to meet everybody I met online today, meet them face to face.
Oh, I'll be there.
Definitely
If
shoot
it's,
you off.
yeah, once it's confirmed I'm performing, I'm there, brother.
Awesome. I'll shoot you off a link to one of Chili's
You got it.
videos. He's a good buddy of mine. He travels around the world doing, politically active rap, pissing off
Mhm.
people, stepping on toes, taking names, all the good stuff.
All right, man. Yeah. For those to get a taste of that never heard me, whether they're hearing this today or tomorrow, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be archived. You can Google Dr. No, Statesman, Payday Monsanto. It's a song in ode to Dr. Congressman Paul, as well as his idea and the seeds he has planted.
You said it was called Dr. No?
Dr. No, yes. The Statesman.
You have it on YouTube?
Yes, it is. Last time I checked.
Last time I checked, right. YouTube's funny that way.
Whew, I feel like a Southern Belle.
I see you're glowing. Come on there.
I wish there was smell-o-vision so you can smell the hashish in this thing.
I see.
Isn't it funny how Afghanistan producing all this opium? Isn't it great?
Oh, dude, I could tell you so many stories about travel world and drugs and smuggling.
Designing to protect the individual. Will have no punishments for any group and no.
Yeah, you got an audio issue there, like it's crack. It's clipping.
I just turned it off. I was actually, I grabbed your link here and then it started playing. I thought I saw it, and I threw the link right up there. If you
That's
guys
why you
look
got
down in the
you got to get block flash, Kurt. I love it. It stops everything from playing unless you want it to play.
Oh, okay. Is that an add-on for your browser?
Yeah, it's been pretty stable too. For Firefox, Block Flash, pretty good.
Someone's wanting you to pass to the left. If you guys want to check out that video, it's right there, link up there. So
Cool.
there's stuff there. But yeah, I mean, it's been an old pull for a long time, especially the powers that be, the New Order guys. They've been using drugs to fund their secret covert wars and operations for a long time. I've seen them with my own eyes. I've seen what's been going on planet Earth. So it's an old game. You know, it's they didn't like it when the Russians moved in Afghanistan. They said the cry was freedom, but really it was because all the poppy fields are in freaking Afghanistan, man.
Yeah.
All the Russians, the Soviets were grabbing all the poppies and.
I don't know if you heard. Yes, yes. I don't know if you heard of, how we're repaying the Chinese via, there's like 200 plus thousand of them down there mining the various precious metals from copper to silver that's how we're paying back the Chinese. We have Chinese miners all over. I don't like to say we. The military-industrial complex. So I think if it's at least a partial payback. There's said to be about at least 1.5 trillion in borderline junk stone stuff like rubies, copper, just a bunch of minerals. Meanwhile, we're 90% of the heroin that floods the West is from Afghanistan. All of a sudden.
Yeah, for the longest time, it actually used to come from Hong Kong via Thailand.
If I could pass something on,
in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. Let me see. Where's it at? Oh, I have to get it. It's oh, here we go. I'm going to the south of the equator here. A friend of mine, got some opportunities in Costa Rica. He actually went to Ecuador, and he wrote Ecuadorian tribe rolled this. This is all tobacco. I don't know how much you can see. It smells like incense. It's not it doesn't have any cat urine, arsenic, formaldehyde, and it smells lovely. South of the equator.
It's actually tobacco.
Yeah, rolled by an Ecuadorian tribe. It has all leaf throughout, and this is just the rope from the tobacco plant. They rolled it up with. But I'll tell you, it smells more like an incense. But you see, it's amazing how they take all your food stuff, all your ingestibles, and pervert it. The FDA is complicit in genocide. And if you haven't seen it, there's a documentary out there. You can find it. It's Stanislaw. You got to make sure you search Stanislaw Brzezinski. Cancer is serious business. In the first half hour, you see that the FDA is indeed complicit directly in mass murder of Americans. And then you watch the rest of it, you're going to get really angry, unless you're an automaton. And that's just one, people talk about there's a cure for cancer. No, there's cures for everything. I mean, anybody out there that hears this now or in posterity that has herpes, I've administered it and helped with the administration from people far away who've had great success within 4 days. DMSO and oregano oil on the spine. Put some oregano oil in your spine, spray some DMSO, 70%, or 100% if you can take it. And, you know, because it tends to stay dormant in your spine. And DMSO, if I don't know if you're familiar, Kurt, with the DMSO, it's dimethyl sulfoxide. It's a transdermal, it will take, you know, it goes right into your bloodstream. This is what the elite, I've been meaning to say this on record. This is what the elite put on their thoroughbreds because they've used it themselves for a good 80 years at least. So they put this on their thoroughbreds because it relieves muscle pain, arthritis. Now it's transdermal. It goes right into your bone. So if you were to spray, say, a magnesium on your shoulder, then DMSO, it's going to bring the magnesium right to your bone. If you're going to spray a perfume, it's going to do the same thing, which could be deleterious. You don't want to do that. You want to cleanse the area, put the aid down, the magnesium, potassium, the oregano oil, spray your DMSO, and just let it soak in. And it's in your bloodstream. You can, if you know, there's an old Dead Kennedys video from the 80s. I cannot believe that these guys were on this stuff. They have a song called DMSO, Bedtime for Democracy, it's off of. And they actually make note that, you know, DMSO, you can put, if you put it on your fingertips and then you touch lemon juice, you'll taste the lemon because it gets in you, you know? So it could be very harmful at the same time if you're around, you know, harmful substances. So, you know, get in a clean environment. And it's a transdermal miracle. They'll never tell you about it. It would have put the vaccine industry out of business. And if you want mainstream coverage that you're never going to see again, just Google 60 Minutes DMSO. It highlights 3 people, all of whom are reputable. One happens to be an Atlanta Falcons ex-quarterback, and he goes to Dr. Stanley Jacobs up in Portland, Oregon, and he said he could not throw. After 4-6 months of DMSO treatment, just DMSO, his arm was 100%. You'll never see a well-rounded piece like that again in mainstream moneyed media. It's great that they're still there in posterity. You with me, Kurt?
Yeah, I'm here, man. One thing I actually haven't told anybody, I've been here all day, but I don't know if you noticed a little redness on my neck.
Maybe now that you pointed out.
You hear me?
Yeah, now that you pointed out, I do.
I've been battling skin cancer for 5 years, so I was getting treatments with DMSO for a while.
Great.
Found another doctor who developed vaccines for curing cancer. I had tumors in my body, and he got me his vaccines, gave it to me. I got a scan a week later, and within 6 days, 6 of my tumors disappeared.
See, you found something.
So
I was going to say, if you know, the first thing I would direct people to who aren't having luck with alternative treatments, as there are so many. I'm sure you've heard. Have you heard of Rick Simpson's story, cannabis oil?
yeah, I'm actually going to be ordering some of that. The problem I have on my neck, I'd show it to you, but most people aren't too squeamish to actually deal with what my neck really looks like.
We got to talk later, Kurt. Won't you hit me up? Are you on Skype by any chance?
Yeah, I am on Skype. But I'm going to tell you real fast, like, this is the only thing that got radiated in my body, and this is the only cancer that's grown back. And usually if your cancer grows back a second time, they tell you you're done for. Well, I've had this cancer go back 5 times, and my original doctor, Dr. Chichua, has helped me been fighting this for the past 2 years, and he finally said, okay, you know, I've kind of had some of the answers here, fighting stuff coming back. So he's like, get some cannabis, man, get some hemp oil, and he's like, give Rick a call and get some of that stuff and get it slapped on there. So that's my next thing, as well as doing a liver cleanse. But I'm very well aware. I worked as a VP marketing for 6 years for organic food manufacturer, and I learned how games play. So believe me, dude, I'm very well aware of the health industry, the medical industry, due to cancer victims. My mother died of cancer. Her mother died of cancer, and now I'm battling. So I got it.
It's the medical mafia, the white coats.
Yeah.
They don't have our best
Man, you
interest.
got to roll now.
Yeah, it's probably about that time, brother. It was a pleasure though. But hit me up.
Hey, man.
Hit me up at paydaymonsanto@gmail.com with your Skype.
Sure, I'll
With,
send you my Skype. I'll send you a couple of videos of my doctor, and I'll send you a couple of videos of chili, man.
absolutely, it was a pleasure, man. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Hope to see you down here. Anything else? I'm just going to mute this and let
I'll
this
be
roll.
there.
Whoever wants to sit here and chat, you know, hang out. I'll just leave the chat room open, man.